Hi, and welcome to Untethered with Jenless, the podcast that's here to help you free yourself from the crap that's holding you back so you can claim the life you're meant to live. I'm your host, Jen, and in this episode, we're going to talk about turning uncertainty into magic. Let's dive in. Hey there, it's Jen. Welcome back to the podcast. So on the day of this episode launching, it is the day after summer solstice. It is a mere hours after we hit the longest point of the year, the sunniest day of the year, the most beautiful, magical day of the year. I love the sun. I am a sun worshiper. I also love the night. And so the fact that the sun and the night are happening at the same time at summer solstice is absolutely, completely, wonderfully glittery unicorn magic for me. I was telling my coaching community just this morning that being able to go out on a hike at 10 p.m. and there's still a little bit of light in the sky. You know, I live in Portland where we're pretty far north. And so the light, it didn't start to get dark. I think I was coming home at like 10:30 and I was like, okay, now I probably stayed out a little bit too late. But I'm curious about you. Do you love these longer days? And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you're having your shortest days. A little science for us that, down there, you're having your shortest days and they're actually two sides of the same coin. And what's so interesting really about the summer solstice is really about fire. The sun is a fiery orb floating in the sky. It's about light. It's about shining a light on the things that we might not be seeing, that are unseen. It's a time to be curious. So if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, it is a time of water. It is a time of stillness. It is a time of being with yourself in either instance, though, because again, it's two sides of the same coin. So regardless, right now is a beautiful time for reflection. So if you're here in the Northern Hemisphere and celebrating the beautiful sun and the summer solstice, it's a great time to reflect on what is it that is keeping me from stepping into my next level? What is it that is keeping me from really fully stepping in with confidence and joy and creativity and allowing that flow? And we're also being pulled to that flow. So you've probably, most likely, if you're tuned in right now, and even if you're not, you've probably been being pulled into expansion right now. It is a time where everything is expanding. The plants are expanding. Everything's growing up here in the Northern Hemisphere. Like there's so much sun. We are getting all the light. It's shining the light on all the things and it's growing. So we often feel propelled in some way during this time of year. And if that's true for you, if that happens to be true for you, we are all in different seasons of our lives too. So if you are in the season of growth, I want to talk about something today that you might be experiencing and support you a little bit with what you might be experiencing. Today's episode is a Thursday thread. So the episode on Tuesday, we talked to Erin, and Erin has 6 tools, 6 tips for living your most amazing, joyful life. And one of the things that she said during our discussion is that uncertainty is magical. And that might sound a little counterintuitive. Uncertainty is magical. No, uncertainty certainly does not feel very magical. A lot of times it doesn't. Naturally, uncertainty feels scary. It's different. It's the unknown. And we biologically are trained to be terrified of the unknown. We want to know the known. And your ego in particular, the protector, that part of your brain that protects you, your system that keeps you comfy and warm and good and okay, that system is not okay with uncertainty. But the other side of you loves it. The other part of you, your soul, your heart, your executive functioning, as Erin mentions, that part of your brain is like, oh no, we want uncertainty because that's where the good stuff is. That's where the growth is. That's where the cool stuff's happening. So again, we're at the longest part of the year, the part with the most sun, the part with the most growth. And if you're feeling that, it's possible that you are beginning to feel uncertain. You were beginning to feel like, oh my goodness, have I gotten too big for my britches? Are my dreams too big? Is this really possible? Is too much good stuff happening? Oh my gosh, how can I handle this? What if what's on the other side of this sucks? When is the shoe going to drop? We can start to have all of these kinds of feels that can start to build up because we've been experiencing this expansion. So we're moving into uncertainty. We're moving beyond the known. We're moving beyond the comfort zone that we've been sitting in. And again, part of you wants you to stay there. It's a very important part of you. It keeps you from doing wild stuff that is actually going to get you hurt. Keeps you safe from tigers. Don't go in the tiger's cage. It keeps you nice and safe. But it's keeping you from really stepping into that full expansion that is actually possible for you. And we will desire both things at the same time. We desire the growth from one part of us, and we desire to stay from the other part of us. And both of this tug of war, this feelings, emotional tug of war is happening inside of your body. It's not just in your brain. This is what I need you to know. It's not just in your brain. Your heart has neurons. Your heart has memory. Your heart and your brain are always working together. The mind and the body are working together. And when you think a thought, when you have a thought like, oh my gosh, it can't stay this good forever, which might be a belief. It might be a thought that you're thinking without even knowing that you're thinking it, which is a fear of the unknown, a fear of uncertainty. When you have that thought, your heart is releasing things to try to keep you safe. It's keeping you in familiar patterns. Those patterns are constantly happening between your heart and your mind. So without conscious effort, without going into your body, without telling your mind, I'm safe, it's okay. Uncertainty is magic. Uncertainty is safe. It's safe for me. I'm consciously stepping into this growth. I'm consciously stepping into this expansion. And we can't just say it to ourselves. And you can listen to countless episodes of this podcast where people will tell you this. You can't just say it to yourself. We will say mantras. And I used to have this experience too. I'm like, mantras don't effing work. I'm not going to do a mantra. They don't work if you're only working with the brain and you're not also working with your body and your heart. If you're not getting into all of that and getting those in sync while you're doing a mantra, it doesn't work. It absolutely does not, because you have a pattern that is happening between the body and the brain that must be interrupted as you recraft these mantras, as you recraft your beliefs. So I want to talk about something that Erin said about uncertainty being magical. How might uncertainty actually be magic? How could that place of stepping into the overgrowth, stepping into the unknown, how could that actually be magic? I shared this. I have to share this story because I also shared this in a coaching call today. I'm going to bring this back to food because food is always a best example. And I love food and I love talking about food. I used to have this problem when I sat down and I looked at a menu of I would be terrified to make the wrong choice. Because what if I didn't like it? What if I didn't like what I ended up ordering? And that uncertainty felt really scary. I actually felt there were times when I would go ahead and order something different. And instantly after I ordered it, after the waitress walked away, I would be panicking. Like, oh my gosh, like the next 20 minutes between receiving the food and having ordered, I would be talking to my husband, like, maybe I should have just gotten the regular. Maybe I should have just gotten the thing. I ruined the 20 minutes between when we could have been having great conversation with me festering about the uncertainty that I was feeling. And then when the food would come so often, I would love it. And, there's the occasional time when I didn't. And then that also went into its own festering pool that I fortunately do not fall into anymore. But that amount of time, like how much magical conversation, how much good joy could have happened in that period of time simply if I had been like, you know what? It's going to be cool to find out what this tastes like. I'm going to get to experience something new. And so, what I encourage you to do, instead of being freaked out by the uncertainty and trying to figure out what the outcome might be, because what was happening in that situation is that I was trying to jump ahead to 20 minutes from now when I'm going to get my food and trying to pre-plan what it's going to be like. Am I going to like it? Am I not going to like it? What if it's terrible? I'm living in the future. I'm not simply living in the now. So how you can bring yourself back into the now is to invite curiosity and be like, oh, what's it going to be like as I get to take a new bite of an item that I have never ordered from this place before? And then maybe even be curious, like how many other people might really enjoy this particular meal? Oh, how many times have I ordered that other regular meal? And this is just a new time. And just in that moment, start getting more curious about the experience that you have elected into. And this opens up so many magical options for us when we're willing to look at it that way, because the result is an opportunity for you to explore. I'm using a very simple at a restaurant situation here. But what if this is something with your life or something with your business? What if, let's take this example because it's an actual example that a coaching client shared with me. So I would love to break down this example. Things are going really well. Things are going so well. You're having so much fun. People are engaging with you. You're getting to do all of these cool things that you haven't done before. And it just seems like opportunities are dropping into your lap. It seems like everything's growing. It's just like burgeoning. It's so good. It's like you're in that period of growth. And all of a sudden, you begin to feel uncertain about whether this can continue. Can this growth continue? Can I keep feeling this good? Okay, let's talk about what's happening here. Let's break this down. What's happening here is that you have exceeded your comfort level of joy, of growth, of abundance. You have a certain level that you're okay with. Each of us does. Every single one of us does. You've got a level of comfort. This is my day to day. This is what I'm okay with. This is the level of goodness that I can feel. And this might sound wild to you when you start really thinking about this in your day to day life. You're going to be like, holy baloney, this is totally me. So you hit this threshold. And then that is when worry, that is when fear, that is when all of the things start to trigger because you're stepping on the outside of your comfort zone. So it will do that. And then all of a sudden you feel uncertain. Like, oh, crap. What if? What if this happens? What if that happens? And those thoughts, what those thoughts are doing is twofold. They're signaling to you, you're at the threshold, and they're signaling to you, you need to step back into safety. That is the lizard brain stepping up and saying, come back into safety. You are on the edge. And what you need to do is to give yourself some space to notice that you are actually not that part of your brain. You are the observer of the brain. You are the person inside of the body. You are the being, the sparkly ball of light, the magical unicorn who is on this earth, who is experiencing this feeling of uncertainty, these feelings of worry that are keeping you from stepping beyond your threshold. And then you get to make a logical decision to say, I can feel more joy. What if? What if I invited in curiosity? What if I felt more joy? What if more joy was possible for me? What if this business just keeps growing? What might that feel like? Who could come into my field? What clients could come into my business? What job opportunity could come my way? Who could possibly come into my life that could make this even more magical? But feelings of uncertainty, feelings of worry, feelings of doubt, all of those things are not going to allow you to experience the what ifs. So invite in curiosity when you feel uncertainty. And that allows you to step into magical possibilities. That allows you to step into more amazing things. Now, where this gets incredibly sticky, so what I walked you through was a process of here's ideal situation. And you're going along, everything's going really smoothly. All of a sudden, you start to worry. You've hit your threshold and you're starting to cramp back down and you're worrying about the future and all of these things. But then you realize it. And so then you step beyond. You start to invite in joyful feelings. You start to think about possibilities and you start to expand again. That's ideal situation. Most people are not living an ideal situation. Most people do not have the spaciousness to make that most important decision, to have that awareness, to invite in curiosity. Because when we have the feelings of, oh my gosh, the shoe's going to drop, holy crap, what's going to happen next? We start to cramp down. We don't have spaciousness to make the best decision. We don't have the frame of mind to be like, oh, this is happening to me. I can think something else. We are knotted up with all of the feelings. It's all just one. It feels like one when it's really not. It's not all one. You are the magical unicorn, sparkly ball of light, who is having an experience, and that experience is happening from two parts of your brain. And when you know that, and when you can begin to experience that in the moment, strengthening your mind-body connection, expanding your window of tolerance, that is what happens when that window of tolerance is bigger for you. You have spaciousness that you can play in. And it is strengthening that mind-body connection that expands your room to play. It's like the movie Step Brothers, where Will Ferrell is like, hey, let's make the beds into bunk beds. And all of a sudden they're like, there's so much space for activities. That's your brain. That's your brain with a bigger window of tolerance. Now, how do you do this? Breathwork is one of the ways. Other things that we've talked about on this podcast, meditation, tapping, journaling, doing activities that strengthen the other part of your brain instead of that, what we're just going to call lizard brain for lack of a better easy term. That one is so strong. It's so strong. It's had millennia of strengthening. But that newer part of your brain, that fresher part of your brain, that more human, that more cognitive part of your brain is not so strong. So you start giving it muscle reps, doing things like this, strengthening that connection between your body and your mind, rewiring some of these patterns that have been happening since you were born, since before you were born. These things start to form in the womb. Those patterns form from the first time that your little beating heart starts to beat. So it takes intention. It takes mindfulness to go in and start to rewire these, but you can. And there's so much possible for you. There's so much here for you. You're being called to it for a reason. You're being called to this magical, amazing life. Look at all these cool, joyful solstice things that are happening for you. Like you can feel them. You're on the verge of them. They're happening no matter where you're at in your life. You know that there's something on your heart. I say this all the time. It's why you're listening to this podcast. So you've got to start strengthening this. Because if you don't, you're living in that fight, flight, freeze, fawn situation. And there's no magic happening in those situations. They are there to signal safety for you. They're there to signal safety. That's it. You get to make the decision to step outside. You get to make the decision to know that there's so much magic for you in the uncertainty. That's where the good stuff is. My favorite quote. Everything you ever wanted in life is on the other side of fear. And what does uncertainty bring up? Fear. There's so much magic that is possible for you in this life if you are willing to step in. And for some people, stepping past that threshold is easier for them because for whatever reason, that part of their brain has had more reps. Maybe they're parents thought that way. Maybe they had a teacher. Maybe they had other experiences or maybe they just naturally have gravitated toward things that strengthen that piece more. Others of us didn't. I didn't. It's why I'm so passionate about embodiment work. It's why I teach breath work. It's why I do this. It's why I coach, because I know that so many people are living in fear instead of living in their possibilities. And you can switch it. You can step into that uncertainty, that magical, magical uncertainty, that land of possibilities. That's just another word for uncertainty, right? Possibilities. That's what's there. It's like an adult playland. So I hope you see through this episode that there is magic in the unknown. And do you think that when I go on a hike every day and I noticed just yesterday, and it's probably because it's the solstice, so like sun is like, whoa, these plants are thriving. The path that I walk on, there's like no room for a human's legs to walk through. It's like growing. And do you think that those plants are like, oh my gosh, what if I start to grow over the path? What's going to happen to me? No, the plants are not thinking that at all. They are just growing because that's what plants do. They grow. You're a human. You grow. That's what you do. You're here to evolve. You're here to grow. You're here to make an impact. So do the thing that your human wants to do. Get out there and do it. Start growing. You already are. I know you already are. You're growing and you're doing amazing. And uncertainty might be stopping you a little bit. So if uncertainty feels like it's stopping you, I want you to know about a free 3-day event that is happening next week, June 29th, 30th, and July 1st, 9 a.m. Pacific time each day. Unleash your magic. Come unleash your magic with me. Empower yourself. Step into your possibilities. Gain more confidence. Get clarity on what your purpose is. That is what we are going to do over these 3 days. It's going to be absolute magic. And I cannot wait to share this time with you. We are going to do breath work, somatic exercises, a little bit of coaching, probably some journaling in there. We've got lots of good stuff planned, and I just cannot wait to share this space with you. So you can go sign up for this at jenliss.com/unleash. Go to that website. You can sign up for this free 3-day event. I look forward to seeing you there. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, take a little screenshot of it, share it on social media, tag me, share whatever your most amazing takeaway was from this episode. What uncertain thing are you going to get curious about today? I would absolutely love to hear it. If you have a friend who would benefit from this episode, share it with them. And you just keep shining your magical unicorn light out there for all to see. I'll see you next time.